Tiffany.
It's Issa.
And I'm also Tiffany.
And this is the last Tiffany.
And this is TITT Talks, a podcast for modern women living in a mama world.
Hey everyone, it's Chook. Thanks for joining us today. Today's topic is about one that's near and dear to my heart, Asian moms. We love you, Mom. Yes. I actually told my mom about the podcast for the first time today.
Oh, did you? How did she respond? Did she know what a podcast was?
She has no idea. The only thing she asked me was like, is it like a little business? And I was like, it has the potential to be. She's like, okay, like approve. That's all she heard. Glenn was immediately like, oh yeah, you should listen to it. And I was like, oh no, Mom, don't listen to it. And she's like, why? Is it dirty? Are you guys talking about dirty stuff? I was just thinking, like, it's not dirty, but I can just imagine her shaking her head at everything that I say in any other episode as well. For all you listeners out there, I'm actually hosting this episode because my mom, aka Mrs. Chukiet, is an endless source of good material. So this is like a common theme for, I hope I'm not sounding self-absorbed, but like I see my mom as like a source of good content. My husband is definitely good content. Good. He provides a lot to discuss. We'll just say that. And with respect to my mom, we really don't see that changing anytime soon. She's just constant fountain of content and comments that, I'm 35 years old. I should be used to all these things that she says, but I don't know. She still gets me every day. So
she's definitely the archetypal Asian mom.
This is Tilo, 3 drinks in, guys.
Yeah, I know. Sorry.
She takes her cake. That was still a big word, though.
Yeah. Is definitely.
Yeah, she totally is. Like, I could see a movie about her. I wouldn't say a movie about her, but she would be a great character, like in any sort of TV show or movie.
She's like the caricature of an Asian mom, I would say.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the new Jimmy O Yang stand-up?
Mm-mm.
It's pretty cool. He talks about his dad and kind of how he's the archetypal Asian dad. And then his dad actually ended up getting this big role in this Asian series, in this Hong Kong series. So now his dad is a movie star because of Jimmy O Yang.
That's like Aziz Ansari's parents.
Yes. So Mrs. Shukat would definitely, because she's so beautiful. Like, she's got like the radiant face. Like, she would definitely be a movie star. Like here or Thailand. You should tell her I said that.
I was just going to say, my mom loves you and you are so good with her. Like, anytime we have a get together, my mom's always like, I talked to Teacha and she agrees with me that XYZ. Like, yeah, she said she wants to have a boy because, I was telling her how my mom was telling Teacha how my mom wanted my second son to be a boy and she got her wish. But she was like, I'm going to tell her all the techniques to have a boy and like what you should do. And then with dogs and stuff, like you have such a good way of speaking with her and conversing with her so that she's like, yes. Remember how
what does she think of the rest of us?
I know.
She just has a way of like making my mom think that she's right. Like, I will never forget how my mom cornered you and was like, you need to tell Tiffany to keep Riley outside and not let him in the house. Like, and that Riley was my first big goofball of a dog. And my mom is not a dog person by any means. And when I moved back in with my mom, I insisted that Riley stay inside. Otherwise, I would stay outside with him. And it was just a big ordeal. But Riley actually turned my mom. No, I wouldn't say he didn't turn her into a dog person, but she actually pet him with her fingertip once. And that is huge for my mom because she's not an animal person. I'll never forget. She like went up to him and was like,
Riley.
put her pointed finger on his back. It was really funny. So much stuff to discuss about her. But we here at TITT Talks, we are all the daughters of Asian Pacific Islander moms. And this episode is really meant to honor them. I know it's going to sound like I'm teasing my mom and, you know, I don't want to say complaining about her because I would never do that. But it's just, I think my stories about my mom can paint like a fun picture of her. And then, you know, when I go back as a 35-year-old woman, I can think about all these episodes and life events I went through with her. And I can really appreciate everything she's done. And I can appreciate why she does and says the things that she does. And it's, I know, and the ultimate reality is she does all this because she loves me, her only daughter. And I really do appreciate that. But I think we all have some common experiences during our childhoods and growing up in America. We couldn't quite understand our Asian moms. And maybe at certain moments, we wish they were different, just like growing up Asian American. Sometimes we might have wished we were different. But now we probably wouldn't change anything about them. We wouldn't change anything about our childhoods. Some common themes you might hear us discussing about our moms are like how they were very strict. Like my mom was the strictest, and out of all my high school friends now, she's definitely the strictest. It's funny how I can talk to them and they're like, "Oh yeah, your mom hasn't changed one bit." Like at least my mom has lightened up a little bit since I'm mid-30s, but
yeah, she still doesn't want you to have a drink or have a good time.
She still would shake her head at me having a glass of wine. I think another common theme is with Asian parents, you might not hear so many verbalized statements of like pride and love. Usually, as I've heard other people discuss, it's like through cut fruit or
That's so
some
true.
other non-verbal act.
Yeah.
Which we accept and now we can embrace. Another theme is resourcefulness that might even equate to hoarding. My mom is like that, but I will say she can be sort of a hoarder, but she is the neatest hoarder that I've ever seen. For all the plastic, I don't know if your moms keep plastic bags, but my mom definitely does, but she folds them. Do you guys, your mom fold it in the triangle?
Oh no, that's another level.
My mom will take the time to fold a plastic bag. She'll lay it out into a perfect box and then fold it into 4 vertical parts and then horizontally, and then it'll make like a perfect triangle. And that will save space in the bigger plastic bag that stores.
That holds them, yes.
Smaller plastic bags.
Before Marie Kondo was born.
I need to definitely take a picture and show you guys again. But another common theme about our mom is they're absolute heroines. They're forces to be reckoned with, and we know that they've struggled with their life to give us the best. And that's something that I will repeatedly say because I do understand that about my mom. And I guess, we just love them. We wouldn't change a thing about them. I laugh when I say that because sometimes I'm like, I would totally change this about But for the most part, I wouldn't change anything about her. And I am me because she is who she is. And that's a pretty good thing. I turned out to be okay.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, sure. Oh my gosh.
So that's kind of my intro. And I guess I'm just going to talk about my mom's background and some stories growing up with her to paint this picture of Mrs. Chukiat, who is really a badass woman. So Mrs. Chukiat, she was one of 10 kids, the second youngest. Isn't that
what?
She was
Wait, what? I had no idea.
One of 10. I know. So I always think about that, like how, like my mom's personality is so crazy. I wonder how she stood out among like the 10 siblings, but she was the second youngest. She's particularly close to one of her sisters who, whenever I go to Thailand, I'm like, I understand how my mom is the way that she is because her sister that she's closest with is like my mom on steroids, and it's really crazy.
Oh no.
I know.
I feel like was it because she was the youngest? She felt like she had to use her voice the most, maybe. One of the youngest, I mean.
I don't think it was because she was the youngest. I think with my mom, she grew up with not a lot. So when she came to America, she was so appreciative of all these things. And it's like everything she could appreciate and hold sacred and be like, we got to keep this can clean. We got to keep this room super clean. So it was all like just her resourcefulness, I guess, is like more of just a byproduct of her appreciation and kind of lack of resources when she was growing up in Thailand. But yeah, so my dad was her only boyfriend ever. Can you believe that?
And
like,
was she your...
my dad's only girlfriend. Isn't that, and my dad used to smoke, he used to party, like he's social, like I used to see him throw back the whiskey, and it's so funny to see how different they are. But it worked. I've seen pictures of them in their 70s clothes, and they look so cute and cool. I need to show this to you. I wish I like brought a picture to like.
You just created the next episode, Mr. Chukiot.
Yeah.
He's I want to talk about him too.
I know.
So yeah, my mom met my dad in Thailand. They got married when they were like early 20s. He's been her only love interest ever in life. And when they came to America, they came here with $500 in their pocket. I always hear this story. And my dad worked at a hand car wash. My mom worked at KFC, Tilo.
Woo-woo! That was also my first job.
Yeah, I love that. So Tilo and me, Chuk, were also named after the same Chinese ice skater.
Yes. Tiffany Chen from the 1980 whatever Olympics. Was it 82? I don't remember.
I think I was too. Although like it was in the actual labor and delivery room. It was like between Tiffany or Christina. And it was, and fate would have it because of TITT Talks. Like my mom chose Tiffany.
Otherwise it would be TITT Talks.
Wait, Peter, are you saying that you were named after Tiffany Chen as well?
Yes, I was.
She was popular.
We need to Google her.
I know. Where is she now?
You guys need to thank her.
Yeah. So yeah, she came to the US, got her job at KFC, and I think after that, I'm pretty sure her next job was the job she currently has, which is she's an accountant for a sheet metal company, and she's been there for way over 30 years. It's crazy because this job is perfect for her. Like just numbers, all day numbers, and keeping busy and focused like with that. And she does some human resources, but yeah, she's an accountant at a sheet metal company, and it's funny because her, I guess they're her coworkers. I mean, she's the only person in the accounting department. And it's so funny to see her interactions with them. Like she's such a sarcastic. She can be a sarcastic bee, you know. And like I remember when I first heard her use the term smart ass. I was like, what? Who are you? Where did she learn that? And like the word crap. It's just funny thinking about her interactions with them. Like she's like kind of like one of the guys, but not really.
But she must be so valued to have been at the company for such a long tenure. She must love her.
She totally is. She's like part of the family. It's like a family owned business, and yeah, I guess she's kind of just part of the family. But yeah, she started working there when my parents moved to Irvine, and my mom is so obsessed with her life, and she loves her small, quaint life in Irvine. Like it's like a 5-minute drive from her house to her office, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Like perfectly manicured streets and a 99 ranch.
It's the American dream for her.
Yeah.
Where did they live when they first got here before they went to Irvine?
I think they lived in Glendale and they lived in La Mirada.
Oh!
I love La Mirada.
Those are the two corporate headquarters of the company I work for. How weird.
So yeah, that's so funny. I lived in La Mirada from when I was like 0 to 2, and when I was 2,
oh, did you?
Moved to Irvine.
Oh wow!
Moved to Irvine in the house that we are now in the process of purchasing from my parents because my mom. I can't say that she's making us buy this house, but she definitely pressured us into it, and it's also for our part. It's a good decision it would be a good move for us to move to Irvine from Huntington Beach. For the most part, I mean, yeah, she definitely like pressured into it.
She's a strong force in your life.
She
In
could
all of our lives.
not imagine like selling that house to someone who's not like in family. It would have killed her. But it's working out this way too. That's how we ended up in Irvine. And she's always been like a very strict parent. Like in high school, she's Mrs. Chukiet to me and my friends. And I want to say, like, I was a great kid in high school. I listened to her. I got in no trouble. The only trouble I ever got into was at home because she was super strict. And now she realizes that she was too hard on me because she doesn't ever, because anytime I like slightly raise my voice at Kai, like, Kai, don't do that. She's like, you need to talk to him with love and understanding and yell at him. I'm like, whoa.
That's grandparent syndrome though.
Yes.
Wait, did she actually admit and say like, Tiffany, I was too hard on you?
She hasn't said those words.
Yeah.
But she has acknowledged that she treated me differently. Which I know.
That's a big step.
That's big.
That's crazy for my mom.
Differently from like your brother, or like differently like how other parents would treat their daughters?
Differently from how she thinks I should parent Kai today.
Wow.
That's huge.
That's a lot of self-reflection.
Yes.
It is. I couldn't believe it because, first of all, even without her giving me that advice or those life lessons, like I would still be way nicer to him than she was to me. But yeah, she does, you know, Kai is her baby angel. So she's going to make sure that he's like always coddled and patted with cotton and I definitely didn't get that.
But it's okay because you still win. You still win out of all of this because you get to see a part of yourself being like treated like royalty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Especially, now that I'm grown up and I have my own money. She can't call me that
You
way.
can get hair highlights.
But yeah, like in high school, I never went out because she always said no. I mean, I'm sure I went out like every once in a very blue moon.
Yeah.
But, you know, it was like studying only. And I guess, you know, in a way that's good because I will say, I think I peaked at least just academically in high school. Thanks to all the pressure. And that helped me get into UCLA to meet all of you. And that
You,
was
Mrs. Chukiat.
I mean, you went to law school. There was another peak.
Yeah, but even then, like I think I definitely I didn't focus enough at UCLA to get into like a super top tier law school. Even when I was in law school, I was still, you know, embracing the fun and the freedom. But whatever, I love my life now, so that's all that matters. Quite honestly, I did peak academically in high school. All APs, all honors classes, yeah. But I mean, who brags about that?
I mean, I think most of us do. Like, was anybody like summa cum laude or magna cum laude here?
Scraping by at UCLA.
Yeah. So you're not the only one, too.
Thank you for that. I feel like a little bit less like I don't want to say wasted my parents' money, but I wish I could have. You saw those people who just like took advantage of all the extracurricular activities and studied so hard and like took advantage of office hours and blah 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 blah. But man, I was learning to live as an adult with like my.
There you go.
I remember this one time my parents left for a night or two, and I was, you know, discussing with my friends who, I mean, we weren't like nerdy, but we weren't like cool either. We were just like normal, studious Asian American kids, but we like had a so-called party at my house when my parents left. And for the most part, I thought we had cleaned up pretty well, but there was like one detail, and it was like a rug. It was like a kitchen rug that was misplaced. And my mom got home and was like, "What happened here?" Like she knew everything. And I wasn't a good liar, at least with respect to that, because I was like nervous about it. I had to learn to be a good liar with respect to other aspects of my life. But I wasn't prepared for that. But that's, you know, my mom's like attention to detail. So yeah, that's my mom, Mrs. Chukiet to me and my friends, the one that she only let me study and occasionally go out. Sometimes went out for boba.
Ooh.
And even when, like we would be studying for like 4 hours and she'd be like, why are you going to go out for boba? Like we have food here. But,
living it up, boba.
Yeah. Yeah. So Mrs. Chukiat was tied with my friend, Elaine's mom for being the strictest. And Elaine happened to live down the street. It was really funny because her mom's funny too. She's great. But now Elaine and I will talk occasionally and she will fully acknowledge, like, yeah, your mom's the strictest now. It's like, it's 30-year-old woman. Like,
she did not let up.
She didn't let up. She didn't let up at all. Yeah, I guess, my mom's mentality with like, and I think bringing this over with her from time is like, you suffer before you have fun. You have to suffer and
pay your dues
before you, and then when you've paid all your debts and suffered, then you can go have fun. But in a way, it's kind of like you're just supposed to suffer all of your life. That's kind of how I feel.
When is your fun coming, though, then, Chuk? When is your fun coming?
I don't know. My fun is here because I make it and I have to, sometimes lie to her about it. But she's, even though she's still the strictest mom, she's more okay with like the fun now, I guess. Because my mom was so strict, I went to college and found my freedom and kind of went, wild, and that's subjective. I mean, I didn't fail out of school or anything, but I definitely like gained a lot of weight from drinking a lot. Were we on the quarter system? First quarter at UCLA?
Yeah, we were.
I got the cartilage piercing, and my mom hated that. But I still was like, no, this is my thing. I'm going to have a cartilage piercing in my ear. But she didn't know that on the same day I got a belly button ring, which I think got infected. It just wasn't good. But and then I went home one time and I like stretched, forgetting that I had this belly button ring. She was just like, she saw it and she couldn't even yell. She was so mad. She was calmly just saying, I saw it. I saw it. And she repeated it like 10 times. And I just like, I just went to the bathroom and took it out.
Oh my gosh.
That's like way too scary. I get
your defense. Do you remember that one Vegas trip? The three of us, me, Tia, and Isa, went and got our noses pierced. And you didn't even think about it because you were like, my mom would disown me. There's no way. I'm just gonna stand back and I'm just gonna like participate by cheering you guys on, but like I can't do this because I will disown. And we were like, we totally understand. We're gonna get our noses pierced.
Yeah. And that all like, and it looked so cute. I was so sad that I couldn't get my nose pierced, but yeah, it was that episode in my life where I was like, is she going to have a heart attack and explode on the inside, because that's what it seems like. And
you can't hide a nose piercing.
No.
Funny, yeah. My mom, and to this day, she's so anti-tattoo. Body's so sacred, and you won't be able to get a job if you have a tattoo or something like that. My mom's just like very strongly entrenched in this belief that I can never get a tattoo. And it's to the point where I think, I told people this, like, I think she would prefer I have like a drug problem over
defacing your body.
Yeah, like at least people can't tell right away if you have a drug problem. But quirky things, quirky beliefs by my mom. So that was college, still strict. She was trying to adjust to me growing up and finding my freedom. But like even in law school, I moved back in with her for a little bit towards the end because just made economic sense to move back in with them for a little bit. So in law school, I was 23, 24, so well over 21, but she could not take me having a glass of wine in the evening. Because I would do it more than once a week, she would think, oh my God, do you need this to sleep? Like, are you an alcoholic? Do you need wine to sleep? Like, she's so dramatic about it. It's like, obviously, I don't need it to sleep, but I mean, who doesn't enjoy a glass of red wine once in a while? So it just got to the point where, she would make my drinking way less fun. So I had to drink alone in my room with the door locked. And even then, my mom is so sensitive to like the smell of alcohol.
What?
I know she's so
like if you popped a bottle of wine, she'd be like,
on more than one occasion.
Smell something.
She would knock on my door. I had the door locked because I was drinking the wine in my room. But she would say, "Tiffany, what are you doing in there?" And I'd say, "I'm reading." And she's like, "Are you drinking wine?" I'd say no, obviously not. And then she says, "I smell it." So she smelled. She discovered. She knew I was drinking wine.
Yeah.
And like a glass, just trying to enjoy some life, but she didn't like it. And I remember when I moved out, when my now husband helped me move out of that house, he saw there were like 6 empty bottles of wine just because I didn't have a good way to like always throw them out. So it was just wine bottles clinking underneath the bed.
oh my gosh.
Yeah, and even now, as an adult, constant reminders to make sure I brush my teeth, make sure I go to the dentist, make sure I wash my face. She's like, "Do you wash your sheets? Do you wash your pillowcase?" Like all those questions of very like, obviously yes. Like I'm an adult. Like do I smell like I don't wash my sheets?
I'm really excited for us to get to like the mother and daughter when the daughter becomes a mother portion of this, because sometimes my mom asks me like point blank, do you have food for Kennedy?
Oh my God.
My mom is always giving me food for Kai too, as if like I had no intention of feeding him, like no plan.
He fed? Oh my goodness. I'm glad that you're here to tell me that.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reminder.
And and some of these incidences you guys have been a part of, like she when I had my kid, she really wanted me to have a boy, and she really felt that like telling me to have a boy and to like look into what I can do to have a boy, she would really like impress that upon me, that I need to do what the Chinese people say to do to have a boy. And you guys were there when we found out the the biological sex of my second son. And she was like, "Can this one have the Chukiat last name?" And it was just like a question that didn't even, and she had like no wherewithal of how weird that would be, because I mean, my sons will have the same father. And my first son has, my husband's last name, which is Silva. But she wants my second son to have the Chukiat last name, because who else is going to carry on the Chukiat last name? So my brother has 2 girls. Yeah, she bargained with us, and now Chukiat will be the middle name.
Oh my gosh.
You know what I find odd about that? That it was not your dad asking that, but it was her, because she married into the Chukiat family. It's not even her last name.
Her mom's last name, actually.
I actually asked my dad if he cared, and my dad was like, "I don't care."
I couldn't see your dad caring.
I guess like one of the last stories I'll tell about my mom is that this is just like the tip of the iceberg that I'm discussing today on today's episode. There's way more, but my mom is I know it's all just a product of my mom's great love for me. And even when I had Kai, she employed Tilo. If you're Tilo and Ticha, and maybe Issa's familiar with this too, like the Chinese postnatal recovery process.
Yeah.
Are you where you can like only drink room temperature or warm water?
Yeah.
And you have to drink this drink that you make in like a slow cooker, and it does not taste good. It's like herbs, and it's dark red. I don't know what I'm drinking, but it's got to be good for me because it's so bad.
Yeah.
Multiple times a day. And my mom, like, she worked so hard. Like she tirelessly put her effort into like making all this food and this like healthy, warm beverage for me. And it was so heartwarming that, I'm like, here I am becoming a mom, and she's still like working hard to be, so motherly to me. But I can appreciate this. This was also featured on like Fresh Off the Boat. I don't know if you guys saw those.
Not
episodes.
that particular episode. Did you tell her to cut the shit this time, or is she going to do the same thing?
No, she told me after we finished with Kai, she's like, I can't do this again for your next baby. I'm like, good, that's fine. Because I just want to drink like Sprite, and I just want to eat snacks. But yeah, so she was like, this is way too much work. I can't do it for your second one. But she's totally doing it for. She's like getting in prep mode to make all that stuff. And the funny thing is, like, as against alcohol as she is, she told Glenn the other day, because Glenn picked up Kai, and she told Glenn, I need you to bring me a bottle of whiskey or Hennessy, because I guess they use that for that healthy drink. It's just funny, like to imagine my mom saying Hennessy,
asking for it. Yeah.
But
you should tell her she can outsource that shit now. There's companies that do that.
My mom can be so crazy about like who makes your food. Even that, like, she'll go out. She has her own ideas of like how food can be. Like she hates that Glenn fishes, but she will buy fish at the store. But she just doesn't like that Glenn kills the fish. Even though like Glenn, he's so
great about it, yeah.
Yeah, like he'll never be wasteful about a fish, but he's very thankful. He always gives thanks to the fish before he, kills it, and we eat all of our fish. But she's very like, you can't kill the fish, but she'll definitely go buy it from the store. So I guess for this recovery process, the postnatal recovery process, she's like, you don't know what people are doing. You don't know if they're doing it the right way. So she chooses to be picky about that, even though like she eats out all the time.
Everyone has their idiosyncrasies.
Oh my God. She'll go to the Chinese restaurants and say, no MSG. Like, don't add MSG.
Is that possible?
They're all like, okay. I think they just, they're definitely ignoring you because you gotta have MSG. And it's also not bad for you. According to David Chang, and I choose to believe David Chang. But yeah, I guess, with my mom, this apple, me, couldn't have fallen like further from the tree, like with regards to like, my love of my dogs and, having fun. And I don't party so much as I like we used to, but we'll go to Vegas for 24 hours and just, doing what we do. Like, my dating life, I dated a lot of people. I had some fun dating, and definitely not one guy for my whole life.
Same.
Like, so this apple fell very far from the tree, but it was also like I feel like I was picked up by a strong wind and then like transported to another country. Like, that's how far it is. But I can definitely appreciate my mom. I know Glenn sometimes thinks that I act like my mom, and that's whatever. That's fine. I take that as a compliment. But in the end, it's just, my mom is so quirky. She's so unique. She's still the strictest mom, and I love her for it. And yeah, I look forward to hearing all of your stories about your moms and how they've shaped who you are, because it's always a fun way to get to know your friends and other people through seeing how their moms raised them and learning about their moms.
Well, I love your mom and all her in all her glory. My mom was also one of 10, and she was the youngest.
What? No kidding!
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What?
Her oldest sister is 20 years apart from her, so my mom is turning 60 on the 29th of June, and which is coming up shortly, guys. And then her sister actually this year turned 80. So, oh my gosh. So what a gap, right?
Wait, so how old is your grandma again?
My grandma is turning 98 on the 12th.
Oh, wow. So she had her first one when she was 18 then.
Yeah.
Wow.
Which was old, by the way.
Wow.
We'll get into that in another episode, but
isn't this crazy how like our moms are like one of so many, and like nowadays it's like 1 minimum, 2 maximum.
Yes.
That's all my body can handle.
Well, what's funny is it was like 3 is the perfect number when I was growing, like when my mom was having kids, and now it's like 2.
They expensive.
They are so expensive.
It's a sign of the times.
Yeah.
But my mom's pretty liberal. My mom grew up on Guam, and she was the baby of the family, and she's also a Cancer. So this is where we kind of butt heads, I think, our signs, because I'm a Gemini. We're 10 days apart in birthdays, but my mom is very like, I think she'll keep her feelings in, but then like it will all of a sudden like blow up. and then I'm like, why haven't you been telling me this whole time? I could take it. I'm very black and white. And she's like builds it up and stuff. So
Speaking
my mom's
of
a great
Cancer,
mom.
I get that. Oh, I'm your mom.
I think it is a sign thing.
Yeah.
But she's super great growing up. She would do everything, homework, cooking, like meal was always made by the time my dad got home. And then when she went back into the workforce, she did the same. Like she did it all. My dad had the privilege of going to work, coming home and resting. I'm so proudful of my mom. I would never be able to do that. Me and Jake really split our responsibilities. And during this time, during the pandemic, he's really taking care of Sana. He cooks. I mean, it really came about like me being pregnant and everything, but he super takes care of us. He does the laundry, he cooks, he's amazing. So I give it up to my mom because I don't think I could ever do everything and not go out of my mind like crazy with like all this mental load, that we talk about, but like even the physical load of all of that, and 2 boys nonetheless. And yes, I helped, but she was really the mastermind. So I'm just going to give it up to my mom. My mom's really fun though. She's super fabulous. I'm not a tomboy at all, but I love to wear sneakers. My mom is always in like heels. Growing up, I never was able to wear, I was always in a skirt or a dress until I was like in middle school. Because my mom would just, she'd just dress me up to the nines until I had the mind to be like, Mom, can I have some jeans? And she was like, why do you need those? So I have to give it to my mom. She's like super fashionable, super fun. After divorcing my dad or separating from my dad, a lot of years went by. But when she started dating, I would tell my husband, like, you better watch out. You better treat me good because I could be like 50 and like my mom and she has no problems. So that's what I have to say. Like that really defines my mom. Like she's not super strict, I think, because she knows I'm a super strong woman and I am very strong in my beliefs. That she doesn't need to, she knows if she lent her purview or whatever in that realm that I'm still going to do what I want to do. So she gives me her recommendations for sure, but it's not like it's Bible.
I like Mrs. Chukiet.
No, so she's very opposite of Mrs. Chukiet, but still super strong. Like she'll say some like odd, she's a know-it-all and Mom, I love you. But you can think of any situation that you've been through, like an odd situation, like I'm a vet and I served in this country. She like, I don't know, she is like a keeper of all the facts. So she will pull up her fact and, she will give it to you. Like, it's like, written in the encyclopedia. It's endearing in a way, but sometimes Jake and I, we look at each other and we doubt the things she says. She's like the master, sometimes you got to call her out. And I think that's where we kind of butt heads too. But she's great. I don't really have like anything growing up. I was so good. She always says that I was like so good that she really didn't need to police me. So my mom was super supportive. I remember one time I got really sick in college. I couldn't even go to my final. I ended up going to my final, but as soon as I got back to my dorm, I called her before. She was there and they lived 2.5 hours away. And she was there to just pick me up and take me home and take care of me. So I'll have to give it up for my mom for being protective and loving. I'm lucky to have her, especially during this time. She totally understands like the political climate because she's pretty liberal. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, do you guys have any cool stories of my mom?
I do. I'll never forget this because I feel like I haven't known your mom for a very long time, but my story is like when I first met her, and I think that was at a Halloween party out when you were in downtown LA. Taking Issa's epic Halloween parties. But it was fairly early in the night, and I sat down and I see this. I want to say I see this girl sitting next to me, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Tiffany. Who are you?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm Pauline." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Like, how do you know Issa?" She's like, "I'm Issa's mom." And I was like, "You're Issa's mom?" This is crazy. Maybe it was like a mix of like your mom looks. You say she's turning 60. I would never guess that. No. Your mom has like long flowy hair and she's dressed so well. It was just so I was so taken aback, like, wow, this is Issa's mom. So that was like my one story of meeting her. But
she kind of reminds me of Teacher, actually, like her composure.
Yes.
Just her air about her. It's just like you'll never catch her slipping.
Yeah. I actually have an image of her from the sorority house. And like the long hair with your brother, so young, but in my mind, she's fucking like gliding. Like she's not even walking. She's just like a gliding figure, like walking around the house. Like she just has this poise to her for sure.
Yeah.
And she makes a damn good fried chicken.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. She's definitely got like this weird Beyonce-like quality where it's like she not only is with it, but she's like with it with all the current events. Like she feels way cooler than I will ever be.
No. You're just as cool.
Yeah.
And she's untouchable or something.
Yeah. And first of all, she's got this hot boyfriend and she's like, well, I don't feel like spending all my time with you. I've got these other obligations.
Yeah, my mom definitely has like, I don't know, all of her guys, like you can't tell, but they're like athletic. I mean, you can tell. I mean, they're older now, but they're either like surfers or like, I don't know, like they always have abs. No matter. I don't know how I see this, but she posts her boyfriends like without a shirt on. Okay, guys. Oh, I remember that one time I had a birthday on the beach. Remember, Scott was playing volleyball and it was just like
everyone's ass. Just not even trying. He's probably took it super easy. And it was like,
I know.
Yeah.
Shoot, I had a story I was going to tell, but I completely forgot. Oh, yes. So my mom is like this, kind of like she's not a stepper. I don't want to call her a stepper wife because there has a negative connotation, but she's pretty like composed and pretty, like put together, like everything's pretty great and perfect. But one time it just shows how crazy she is, but she would cook from scratch for all of us all the time for her kids. So one time I went to my aunt's house and she was making Chef Boyardee and she, I guess in front of me, I must have been like 8 years old. In front of me, she cracked open the can of pasta and I saw it. And then I guess I threw this like big fit. Gosh, I was so spoiled. Threw this big fit and then she called my mom and my aunt was like, your daughter refuses to eat my food. She says it's dog food because we used to give our dog Alpo in the can all the time. So I thought it was dog food and I like really thought my aunt was trying to torture me and her kids by feeding me dog food. And then my aunt was like, your kid is spoiled. But I will tell you guys in college, like, actually, after I moved out on my own into an apartment, like all I wanted to eat was Chef Boyardee, like spaghetti or ravioli, because I never had stuff like that.
I just made that for the kids 2 days in a row. They love it.
I still love it to this day. Jake won't let me touch it because we bought it as like rations. Like, yes.
It's good. I'm not mad at it.
That's a funny story growing up.
But I really love that story. I didn't know this about you, but that you got sick and that your mom came. And I think that's so poignant now, just because like a mother's love, it just never goes away. And with George Floyd dying and those being some of his last words, it's like there's that photo going around that says when he cried for his mom. But
all mothers were summoned.
Yeah. And I think that's just really poignant at this time. You never stop being a mom, really.
Nope.
No, and I think that shows in Mrs. Chukiat too. Like, all of that comes from her extreme love for you guys.
Yeah, and it's I think the common theme is that their love is so steadfast, and like sometimes they're in the background, sometimes they're in your face, but they're always there no matter when you need them. And they're the one thing that you can count on for the rest of your life. And dads too, but like the mom is there all the time.
And how lucky are we, right? How
Yeah.
lucky are we that we know we have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when Kennedy was born, like she was the one person that like reported to my house every morning at 6 a.m. without fail, sometimes early at 5:50, so that I had some extra time to get ready. Like she was here every single day at 6 a.m. and then she would stop her shift at like 4 p.m. when I got home from work. Yeah, and she was just at it all day without complaint, no pay, nothing.
Yeah. I remember, I think we were asking you before Kennedy was here, like, are your parents planning on watching Kennedy? And I think initially you said no, because it was like, I thought they had initially said no. And I remember thinking that, I'm like, they're going to think when the baby's here, right? Because like, when the baby's actually here, they're going to be like, they want to see with their own eyes that the baby is in the back. And it's so funny, because it's so true. That's what happened.
Yeah, you called it. Now it's like she is their number one priority.
I didn't. To be clear, I didn't say that, but I was thinking in my head. It sounds like it's not gonna be right when.
Yeah.
I could take it from here. This is Tilo. I would say my mom is probably the antithesis of the typical Asian mom.
My mom is super cool.
Yes.
Yeah, you didn't grow up with her, but yeah, I feel
she's cool now.
Yeah, from an outward point of view, I feel like she definitely is a positive outward emotion outpouring. She's very jovial, I would say, but similar to your guys' moms so far, she is actually also the youngest, but of 5, and
only 5.
Yeah, only 5. Half.
Still a big family.
Yeah. But actually I'm not really sure what happened, but like, so they grew up in Canton, China, and then migrated to Hong Kong. And then I think within that, like 2 of the sons passed away, because she's the youngest and the oldest is my aunt, and there's 13 years between them. So there's like quite a large gap as well. But she is the baby, and she's told me, similar to like what you said, Chuk, just of like modest beginnings. Like now that we all own homes, we understand what like 400 square feet is. It's not a lot. They lived in like basically community housing in Hong Kong. I think it was my mom, herself, her sister, her sister's husband, and then my uncle. Like they all lived in like a 400 square foot, like little space. And then my mom was very young when she came over. She actually went to Belmont High School in Los Angeles. And I think she was 16 when she came, and she took ESL classes and all that. It's really interesting to hear her stories from back then, because, you know, she didn't really speak English. She was doing the ESL classes. And then as we grew up as kids, like she was just like, well, we're in America. You guys need to be Americans. Like, you know, so while my dad was like always talking to us in Cantonese, she was kind of like, you kind of need to assimilate. So it's very different, but I have like the most amount of respect for her that I don't know how she did it. Like when we were younger, and I don't know how typical this is, but like my dad basically he worked all the time, and he didn't have an active place in terms of like the child rearing. So she really did it all. And he worked, I think, 6 days a week when we were younger. So even on the weekends, she didn't get a break. And really what came into the fold there was just family helping and support. But like from a day to day, from a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, she was it. And she actually did it all. And that's a lot. Like I can't even imagine, because of the amount of support I have from Dave. Like I just can't imagine. And when I say she was the antithesis, she always made sure that we felt loved. She always was very vocal about it. It wasn't like some of the experiences some people had where you never knew if they loved you or not. Like it was very clear that she did. And I don't know, like further on the antithesis, like I don't even know if I ever told you guys this story, but I think like she also was probably trying to figure things out and how to be a parent particularly because my dad wasn't in the fold either. When I was in high school, my dad lived in San Diego for a portion of the time because he was working at this casino and a Chinese restaurant out in El Cajon. So he would only like come home like, I don't know if it was like once a day and once a week, I'm sorry. And maybe it was like not every week. But at that time I was like 16. So I was in high school, and my mom would like allow like my boyfriend at the time to sleep over at our house.
Nice.
Which is so super weird.
That would never happen at my house.
And if you think about it now, like, you know, some of us have daughters and you're just like, it's questionable.
I had an open door policy, no sleepovers.
Yeah. But like, you know, I should, but I've never gone back to ask her about it. But I don't know if it's like her being like, well, I'd rather you be under my roof than God knows what you're doing elsewhere. Mm-hmm. But also like, I don't know, maybe she was struggling with like, how do you actually raise a teenage daughter? I think for us, it's very different. We have all these resources and we'll read books, we'll do all these things, right? But she comes from just a completely different era, I guess, of parenting. So I you know, she just, I can't say enough about like positive things about her, because even now she, at the drop of a thumb, like she'll just be there if we need something, if we need the kids to be watched, or if we just want to like go out, like she doesn't judge us. She has never, ever in the 5 years said anything about like our parenting practices. Like in her mind, she is just like, this is your thing to deal with. I've done it already, but like, you know, it's your realm, essentially. These are your children, you know? And I think that's crazy. Like I could see myself not being able to hold my tongue for Tessa and Miles. So like, that's a big thing as well. But I don't know. She's a very selfless person. And it's not to say that it was always easy growing up with her, because I think like, you know, looking back, as I look back, there's a lot of things I think she was going through for herself. Her husband was not around. She got married, and then all of a sudden she had 2 kids, and then, you know, her husband's working all the time, and it was a very strained environment that I grew up in. And we would be remiss not to mention, I suppose, like the mental impact that would have had on her. Mm-hmm. And I've wrote about it a little bit on my blog, but a lot of the things that I remember as a kid are not positive because of those experiences. But she's such a strong person for having gone through it and for being so positive now. But a lot of things like just the passive aggressiveness that she kind of spit when she was a kid now manifests in me, because as a child, you kind of replicate what you see. And, you know, everybody talks about, you need to model for your children. You need to model positive behavior. Yeah. So a lot of what I saw was passive aggressiveness, unfortunately. So it's like something that Dave and I fight a lot about, because he's just like, similar to what you were saying about your mom, Issa, about being cancer. I let it bottle and bottle and bottle and bottle. And then I'm just like, like, and I explode. And I guess I'm still learning. We're all on this journey, but I'm still learning on how to be better about that. But it's very difficult when that's the only thing you saw when you were growing up. But, you know, that aside, I would never take back like what I had with her. Like, she was the best, like, you know, but I really do like have so much respect for her, for everything that she shouldered on her own, because it's not easy. It's not easy. Even as with a full-time co-parent right now, it's not easy. So she really is my hero, I would say. And although it was it was a very anti-Asian experience, that was my experience.
I would have to agree that your mom is super awesome, and you only feel warmth. I mean, like every time I see her, she's really joyous, and I've never seen her like upset or anything, but not that we all see each other's moms all the time, but I've never, you know, got a sense of, you know, she's always been really great. So, and I kind of get what she did with you when she was allowing you to have your boyfriend stay over, because my mom did that with my brother. My oldest brother, when he was in high school, had a very long time girlfriend. He actually brought them so that she can go get birth control.
Oh, wow.
That's huge, right?
Yeah.
Totally different from me, but I think they knew that I wasn't, that's not where my mind was.
Yeah.
But, so I think you were right. You hit the nail on the head. It's like, you'd rather have them be protective, be smart about it and safe about it, and under your roof than sneaking around, or like Jake and I used to like make out in church parking lots in my car. Like I would have rather been in my room.
Yeah.
And it probably would have been safer. Like we could have been pulled over. I don't know. There's so many things that could have, so I definitely think your mom was so progressive because, where I'm like 13 years older than my brother. So like the same age difference. So she was ahead of her time.
Yeah. Thank you.
I can kind of appreciate the fact that she was passive aggressive in a way. I think Glenn wishes I was more passive aggressive than just so on just saying what exactly is on my mind. Like, that's so nice of her to be passive aggressive. I mean, that just carry you a deal. Because my mom is like, she's not passive aggressive at all. I think, you girls, I've coined this term. Well, actually, Glenn coined this term. We call it dim sum phase. Mrs. Chukit, when she goes to dim sum, if they offer her a viewing of a dish and she doesn't like it, she doesn't just politely say, no, thank you. She'll make this face of disgust and act like she's throwing up. And it goes bleh. So you'll even hear a noise to that extent. And I think that's the way I am too. It's like dim sum face and tone now. So
I appreciate that of you.
Yeah, I think Glenn would rather me just be passive aggressive sometimes and less communicative.
You get what you get, and you don't get upset, as we tell our kids.
Good one. I haven't gotten that one yet. I'll use that.
Get what you get, and you don't get upset. That's good. All right. Well, I will finish us off. So my mom. Do you guys know my middle name?
No.
Christine?
No, Michael was joking about this the other day. He was like, you know what? So my middle name, I don't think I've ever told anyone because it's even on my birth certificate, it's just W. It's Wing.
Oh, wow.
It's
you're an angel.
Oh, thank you for thinking that instead of thinking like a turkey wing.
Wings.
Oh my gosh.
What does it mean in Chinese?
Wing, like forever, like wings forever. Which sounds romantic there, but wing is not so romantic. And her actual maiden name is Dong, so Wing Dong. It's just really. So he was like, if your nickname was T Wing, that would have been cool.
T is cooler.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Anyway, so my mom she came from a family of 4. So one older brother, oh my gosh, family of 5. So same.
Wow.
So,
oh yeah.
And then we have 5. Isn't that incredible? That's
10, 5. Same, but different.
Yeah. Yeah, so her family was born and raised in Hong Kong, and she came over when she was 14. And it's really interesting because she came over when she was 14, which is an odd age, right? To go to a different country when you're a teenager. And her younger siblings were I think her youngest one was 4 when she came over. So
wow.
She assimilated very well. So what a big difference. And they had applied for a permit, I think 6 years prior. So it's almost like a sliding doors, alternate universe type of situation. If she had come to the US 6 years earlier, she could have lived a completely different life. But I can imagine coming here, going to John Marshall High School in Chinatown, where it's very segregated, and you're 14 years old and ESL classes, and it's just a very different life trajectory for you. So I think she kind of felt like she was already predestined for a different kind of life, she would never fit in. And then she met my dad when she was 16 or 17, I think. And he was this Rambo Latino guy that spoke Chinese, and he swept her off her feet. And he was her first boyfriend too. And they got married 4 years later.
Oh,
wow.
I love this story.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I've always known her as a mom. And as someone who just married the first guy that came around, but I never really thought about the challenges that she probably went through as well. She went through a lot of discriminatory, weird stuff from her parents, because they're oh, he's dark, and he speaks Chinese funny, and he likes to buy these nice things. And so there was all this stuff that's happening on that end. And from all the stories that I've heard from my aunts, like she's the one that used to like buy the short skirts, and she's the one that like made all of her own clothes and like went out to parties. So I think she lived a lot of life in the years that she was able to, and really like packed in a lot of good experiences. And I think she always wanted to live a comfortable life, and she always wanted to be a mom. And like I know that she is very happy with me, but I know she would have been very happy with like 4 kids too. She actively tried for a very long time. And there's one point where it's funny because I always wanted a sibling as well. I'm the only child here, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there was one point when I was 9 years old and she got pregnant, and she was like 3 to 4 months along. And at that point I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I want this. Like, oh God, I don't know if I want to have a sibling. Like, disrupt my life. I don't know. So it's really unfortunate that she actually went through miscarriage, and she went through a little bit of a depressive, I think, state that took a while for her to get out of. But she still was always present, and I think that instilled like a really strong sense of confidence in me, knowing that no matter what happens, like my mom is always there. And beneath that, my dad is always there. So like when you bring on that relationship element, it's like that relationship element isn't as critical because like someone's always there for you. And I've always wanted to do some like psychological study, like when you have like a parent that's always there, like I feel like your relationship, changes as well. So that's always been a really interesting component, because my parents are very close to me. Like I literally live right next door, and that kind of confidence, I think, like really ups my happiness level a lot. So she's just really, really extraordinary. And like, no matter like what weird stuff pops out of her mouth, like if you don't drink warm water, you'll get cancer, or like, well, today it was like hot lemon and ginger tea. Make sure that you're cancer free. And it's like I even joke around, you need to write a book on like how to live. Yeah. So it's like, it's so easy to like just swallow all of these really interesting behaviors. Like there's never a time when she comes over and doesn't criticize like how I live or work or raise my child, but it's okay, because at the end of the day, I know like she's the only like super, super constant person that's there with me. And like interesting, if it weren't for this podcast, I wouldn't have thought about like her wild and like super fun days. Like I remember she used to tell me there was a time she was working at the Transamerica building downtown for this insurance company, and like her coworkers would get like super sassy with her because she was the only one that drove a Mercedes Benz, and be like, they'd be her because they'd be jealous that I had a Mercedes Benz. I forget that you had a fabulous life. So cool to like recollect those things every once in a while, to remember.
You know what? I don't forget that, because when we're at your house, or like I remember one time your mom was going to host like this award something, and she came down and she's like, which pants should I wear? And they were both like freaking amazing, super stylish. And it was like, I felt so honored in getting to like give my opinion, like, oh my gosh, which one should you wear? But I also like see her in you, because she has like, this kind of but like just really composed, like really fashionable too. I know she's like, big in her community. So I kind of see that in you as well.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, she definitely has a real zest for life and like dramatic flair that she kind of like just squashed for a while because she just didn't feel confident with herself. But like it's definitely out in full bloom. And now that like her friends are slowly getting back together again after quarantine, like I think she's starting to get back into that. So I hope that blooms again. Oh, thank you for that, Isa.
Yeah. Oh, and it just reminded me, both of our moms have battled cancer. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even going to talk about that, but cancer is the worst. There's a lot of bad things in the world. It's one of them. And they have really bounced back. And so, we're proud of them for that too.
Yeah. And she fought it like a champ. Your mother did. And it's a good example for all of us. And it brings a lot of hope.
And I'm sure she was pretty strong even going through it too.
Oh yeah, she was so strong.
Like, it's crazy. I can't think of me being that way in that position, but man, our moms are super women.
Super women, yeah.
All of them.
Yeah. Super women who raised super women. Thank you, Mom.
You're welcome.
Okay. I guess this is the end.
That's the end.
Our episode. I hope you guys have really enjoyed our, our tales and our experiences and our reflections of our moms and how they've, influenced us as, I guess, professional women and as moms. We'd love to hear your stories and hear about your moms too. So if you have any questions or comments, please send us an email at tittalks@gmail.com or send us a message to our Instagram account, TITT_talks. And we just love to hear from you. So also don't be afraid to let us know if there's any topics you want to hear from us, you want to hear us discuss. But I guess that's it. And thanks for joining us for our episode on our Asian moms and especially Mrs. Chukiat.
Woohoo!
Thank you guys.
Don't forget to subscribe.
5-star reviews.
Everyone.
We'd like to give credit to our husbands. Without their support on this project, it would not be possible. On top of that, we'd like to thank our technical crew, music production by Baby Daddy Beats, and graphic design curated by Kano Imamura. And also, I'd love to thank all of you guys, co-executive producers, all 4 of us. This is our baby, so thank you guys.